Yo! So check this. One thing I've learned from the Bible, along with multiple other cultures and texts: fear demolishes self, and love enhances it. Now, with that being said, I know I was supposed to make a part 2 based on the licensing office stuff that's going on. But being that today is Easter Monday, I think we should go down this road because a lot of people definitely have a misconception about this person. Now, I told you all, and I just always keep my promises, I was going to make a video about this gentleman, this so-called gentleman. You see, when you go into theology, you're supposed to have certain ways about yourself, certain actions. That means you have a vocational responsibility to not lie. Now, you see, vanity is a hell of a thing. So in theology, what it told you in every fucking religion: pride before the fall. So listen to this, and listen to this very well. Abomination was stated in the Bible only to certain relationships. Also, do you all remember when the men of the village came to his house, as in a certain man's house, because they wanted to have relations with the angel that they see touched down? Right. So let's get into a certain people, not a person, not an individual, because he has to be mentally unstable to be doing and saying these things that he's doing and think it's okay. Yes, well, you're supposed to know who I'm talking about right now. The biggest fish in Trinidad and Tobago history, who thinks he's God gift to criminology. No! With that being said, check this. A few years ago, I had a friend who was murdered from the Cuba area. Also, I have a workmate who I always used to fall out with in the Port of Spain area, simultaneously from Cuba also. You know what's interesting about these both individuals? They used to talk about a certain man who used to pay people to do things to him. Then, the businessman, he was murdered, as I said. He used to sell phones. When I was younger, smaller in size that is, he always respect me because of my voice. And it made me laugh. He said, boy, I have somebody that annoying me right now. That definitely. He has some strange ways, but he like fellas with deep voices and stuff and strong in body. And never take it on. Then, I started working mangoes with a guy called Rick Squares. Yeah. Very interesting character, to say the least. Because he used to mimic me every time I talk and every time I speak. But then I started to hear certain things that I didn't want to hear and I didn't want to believe. And shockingly, I tell him, certain things you're doing going to come back to you incoherently. He never understood that statement and say I using the word out of context. Yo, I'm laughing, but nothing I'm saying is funny. So what happened? He died in a car accident. Yeah. So here the scene. Let's get on to our next point now. This individual I'm talking about, he went to be a pastor, but then people in the Canupia area and Londonville area, who you talking about? Scattershot eye man? Yeah, he tried touching my son. Tell me if I lie, you know. Because trust me, when I was younger, I used to go down the road and fix my rims in a certain place on the Canupia main road. Yeah, that was when Robocop was alive. And I've heard people saying, boy, you see that man? He's real trouble, you know. He have a brain, you know, but some of his ways real strange. So I never listened to what people were saying at all. Then I remember distinctly because people want to understand why I use a grill. But I had a problem from since 5 years old when I fell on my face. And that problem makes me know a lot of dentists all over Trinidad and Tobago. Tobago also, eh? Now listen to this. When you're a dentist, how do you make the change from being a dentist to a pastor? Or from a pastor to a dentist? I find it was strange because these are two professions that make you hundreds of thousands of dollars if you are successful in them. So when you overprice people and then you bad talk people after they just leave your premises, that would definitely go into something. So what I realized also is that when your sister was moving like a hoe on stage and she was underage, who was the problem? Was it Acorn or your sister? Or you come out in defense of her. Understandable, because the 5Fs is a serious thing. But check this scene. When you started to become a crime fighter, why it is you start to take $800 and $1,500 to bad up people's name, and that is how you gain popularity. Remember when you was repeatedly going by people's houses without their consent and putting it up on the screen, and that's how you got big? Remember that type of shit you was doing? So let me get you into bigness now. When I found out a man for cock tax was put up on the screen who is a bartender, who was looking to make his own business, and you, jackass, by the shit you did, made him lose his custody of his children. Furthermore, made him lose 3 of the patents that was going through for his business. I distinctly remember you for many reasons. Because you like to get popularity from sensationalism and not the truth. And right now in 2026, this is now 17 people I know that you've done this to, including myself. Now let's get off of that now for a little stint. Now, you have been working along with OCM for how many years? Then you got fired, didn't you? Then you started to work for CNC3. Then you got fired, didn't you? Then you started to work for Synergy. Then you got fired, didn't you? Then you started to work another place. I can't remember the name right now, but you were telecasting live on air. You got fired too. Then numerous cameramen started to say how you just abused them in public and behind the scenes too. And I can attest to that because Darren is a good friend of mine. You see, being egotistical and vain is something the Bible spoke about too. Right, that's another thing. You know what's interesting though? Theology should have taught you many things, but this was 4 places I highlighted that you got fired from for being unprofessional and lying towards people's name. And when they started to get legal precedents coming against them, is when you got fired in all instances. Now that's 4 places are highlighted. There's 3 other places. So why it is the businessman I was talking about, and he started with Cuba, who are the Prado, and the big purple and green graphics. It was going around him for you to get work from him. And I'm not talking about vocational work. I'm talking about work, as in using your hops for something. What the fuck you was really doing, boy? You think Gerald was my friend or what? Furthermore, anytime a young man could get paid to do stuff to you, and he'd gladly do it because he wants to pay his rent, that also says fucking something. So recently, as in 2026, there was an interesting allegation that was dealt to you, and I so far have not seen any legal action taken about it. And a certain owner of a beverage company name was involved in that shit. All you like going, one Woodbrook Place. Furthermore, why it is the young man who's 17 years old is not even denying that you want constant bed work from him. Let me fix my glasses here. There's not a joke or a lie of anything that I'm saying. Yeah, I fixed my face because men that like to put on makeup, I don't use that shit. Moving right along. It have no bell on my table saying ding, ding, ding. So I think it was 2014 or 2015. I was robbed because I was set up from somebody when I was bringing in tons of phones with somebody. And a man called Robert thought I was lying when I said a container of phones was stolen. Lo and behold, later on, a certain short Muslim told me I know the people who thieved the sneakers and the phones from the container. So when an arsehole was told from a certain church lady who does sell pies and neck and, what you call it, boy? Tambran ball in front of a church to bad up my name and put me on TV, I never fucking forgot you, you fussy. So check this. When Robert realized that I was right later on in life, he never spoke to me again, but he felt ashamed. So this businessman I'm talking about from Cuba was helping plenty people in the West Side with making their businesses happen. So how it is a certain guy from Diego Martin, but he was never found. I gave him all of that information to understand how detailed I know this so-called human being, aka Mr. Fish, who does be on TV, or used to be on TV every evening. Now he proclaims himself to be a crime fighter. So let's go to another fucking thing. Let's go to a man named Meister. Used to be named Mitchell because he changed his name. You're playing you like certain things. So when he was fucking on the desk on Farm Road, and somebody called the Ian Allen program and proclaimed and spoke about it, why your face turned white, even though he's a Douglas man on the TV screens? You felt ashamed? I find this to be rather interesting. Because here is scene. Nothing that goes on in Trinidad and Tobago is unseen. Especially up to now in 2026. So here is scene. Let me get to something else now. It have 3 restaurants that you like to go to. One is on the boulevard. One is on Marval Road. And one is in Song. Oops. Let the kitty out the bag. In South Trinidad. A long time ago. Why it is that certain servers really don't like serving you. Why it is you think lying about people is a good thing to do, especially when hospitality knows a lot of suspicious people and suspicious things that you have done to people. So check this. Ocean. Yes, Douglas Ocean, who used to work on the one on the boulevard. How are you going, sir? Rick used to work mangoes with me years ago. Furthermore, there's a certain Rasta man that definitely was with the second most popular homosexual in hospitality history. Why it is you always bothering that man to put on work on you? You think I lie now? It? You think I didn't do my investigations on you, sodomite? Notice my glass is not white. Yeah. No, that popular man who looks like a woman who lives abroad now definitely knows he and that Rasta man was together for years, resided in Europe also. You think I didn't do my research on you, you little fussy? As in white glasses. On top of that also, why it is Ricky Ragunanan stopped talking to you? Why it is Umlala stopped talking to you? Why it is you made it your business to bad talk Junior Sammy's son when you knew nothing of what was going on? Wasn't it fucking sensationalism? Or fucking sensationalism? Why it is you have on red bottoms and that's the most popular shoe amongst females throughout the world? Why it is you can't read Leviticus out loud without sweating buckets? Why it is your father stirring fucking mad right now? And furthermore, why it is you're shaking the Prime Minister's hand, but you're proclaiming tonight not like racialism? Okay, so let's get to our next point now. Why it is you're paying people to become popular because you know that their spirit is genuine. So Paul, I always ask myself this question. If you're a churchman, how are you promoting this man who promoting sodomy and paying 17-year-olds to have sex with him? Notice how real I is it? And everybody knows in Trinidad and Tobago, I don't lie until it does make them uncomfortable. On top of that also, do you all know about the Masonic Pact? Do you all know who is that in Trinidad and Tobago? Whether it's a certain soca artist, whether it's a certain government minister, whether it is somebody that used to be on OCM TV6 all the time that Jackie was protecting. Do you know how much ministers are in that 33 group? Do you all ever watch this BATTYMAN's hand with that certain ring on the finger? Also the certain government minister? Also the certain most popular soca artist in the land? Tell me if I'm lying in Trinidad and Tobago. Because I realize that all they keep on pushing up against this BATTYMAN. There have been 28 cases which party put people in place, whether to get murdered or whether to get arrested by the police. So how it is when your brother-in-law gets sent on vacation because you have 2 years allocated, that suddenly you find a sexual ring in South Trinidad involving police? Yeah. You know why I'm highlighting all this? Because all they put in faith in him. You know what really shocked me though? How come Guardian Media rehired this fussy hole? And then they realized, nah boy, something's still wrong with him. So what I'll get to a point now. Remember when a certain man who's the head of that ethnicity's business was kidnapped years ago, and nobody got arrested, but everybody who did it was sent home. Yeah. I wait to sit down and ponder that. His name was one of the names that was called recently with the situation with the 17-year-old and the same BATTYMAN with the white glasses. Notice no legal actions have been taken. Right. Other than that also, our second most popular, in fact, our most popular big people time guest house is friends with this individual only after a certain robbery happened. Yeah, I find that real interesting. Because the thing about it, they have free sodomite sex. As in a location which part you have no fear. You have to have some people covering your back end. Yeah. So that's something very important. So on top of that also, why it is, as of recent, the two individuals, whether it's the same Paul or the same young man whose mother passed away recently, why it is only certain connections that belong to the 33 club is the connections that you're using to make them popular. And then furthermore, you have how much? 7 different TikTok accounts linked to your YouTube account and stuff of that nature. The thing about it, if popularity and swell-headedness is what you get through in life, all well and good, you know. All well and good. But stop involving people fucking name and lying about them on social media to gain popularity. You hear what I'm telling you? Because definitely, you see what happened with Sean and Janelle Edwards years ago? When they lied about me, trust me, this year is going to finally bite them in the ass. Because all information was gathered. Remember when it took that $1,500 for them to bad up my name after Sean assaulted me? People think it's something I don't like. But being a genuine person has always been me. And trust me, with the knowledge that I have, that's why it has hurt you. Mention my name again before this case even comes up. You'll definitely see some more information coming out, what you don't want to agree with. So check this scene. When a certain man who you claim robbed you, didn't you have a sexual relationship with him? It have a certain guy in GGP. Ask any officer. He does make you laugh frequently. He was also charged inside recently for thieving somebody marijuana and holding somebody's phone. So hear this. When he stole the glasses, the gold rim glasses, and the jacket and thing, because he get upset because he couldn't reach by you tonight to put on the work. Or the night, in fact, I said to put on the work on your ass. Literally and physically. Then you get upset with him and you get arrested. And if you think a line Trinidad and Tobago, do your research. Deodat Ramjit is his boyfriend's name, who in GGP. But of course, that's not important now. Because the 17-year-old does get good money. Very good money. To put on the work on his bamsy. Other than that also, why you're not telling the public what's going on with your father? Is it because the sins that you have proclaimed making Israel and your own biological father shame? But you like to call people's names. When you go on in Guyana and a certain man kiss you on your lips in public, how you fucking feeling? You stink sodomite. You think people didn't know? When you went to the political time and the people from the village run your ass out there and you was feeling scared and intimidated, how you fucking feeling like to be inside of people's business? Yeah, I don't forget things, but definitely you want people to do that, don't you? So how it is, certain officers, especially a very skinny one who used to move with the big strong man all the time, how it is he and you fell out, but you're not mentioning certain things. But definitely, it have things like your policeman friend who raped his own fucking daughter and impregnated her. Why you not mentioning that on the fucking screen? All these pieces of shit is why Trinidad is why it is. And why people living in fear. You see the 5 Fs? And furthermore, Trinidad and Tobago. All you never realize, when somebody make $1 million and start businesses off of a certain soca song, why it is the business partner and lifelong friend for more than 26 years could stop talking to them and don't want to work with them anymore. All you ever think about that? So the fucking tin-foot terror always had a problem with my voice, it would seem, when I call in and mimicking things. Then I realized he's friends with his fucking sodomite. And the first thing that's come out of his mouth at all times, oh, Jason, that's my good friend. What did they say about birds when they flock together? They fuck together, eh? Yeah. Check this scene. It's no man from the Caribbean that's come and sleep in my house. None. But you can't say that about Jason. Yeah. So at 20 minutes, we can continue going with information. But trust me, you stinking, nasty, sodomite, white glasses wearing BATTYMAN. I hope you feel it just as much as this pity 17-year-old to have fun. Now do remember, I don't ever lie and I always keep my promises. So trust me, David West, remember when a certain officer named Hercules took my report, it was never taken and put on the system. So Trinidad and Tobago, as usual, I love you guys. And I always keep my fucking promises. Have a good Easter Monday. Deuces.